Welcome to the UN Brief. Today we interview the UNICEF Global Chief of Corporate Partnerships, Verity Nicholas, to speak about the Learning Passport, an initiative between Microsoft and UNICEF to help children in refugee camps and on the move to continue their schooling. Thank you for watching the UN Brief, and don't forget to subscribe. Walk us through a little bit of how did the partnership started and how it evolved.
Sure, very happy to. So there had been engagement with Microsoft for many years, as you would expect, between Microsoft and UNICEF. There was an interesting moment in 2017 when both organizations were about to embark on new strategies. So UNICEF's strategic plan and Microsoft had a new strategic vision for their cause work. And at that moment, they asked to have a discussion with UNICEF about what we might work on together. Because it was quite a unique moment in time, we actually, both organizations decide to take a slightly different approach and actually start with quite a blank sheet of paper and start at a very high level, talking about their strategic visions for the next few years. And then over a process of co-creation and co-design, we jointly designed the vision that we would work on a way to enable every single child to have an opportunity to learn, whether that was online or offline, whether they were on the move, wherever their situation might be, that they had an opportunity to learn.
Really as part of an intervention in post-conflict zones or post-extreme weather events where internally displaced children would need that sort of setup that would combine offline and online, and that would be something they could carry on if they were to be moved to another country.
This is exactly the heart of the relationship, and that's why it was called a passport, because there was a moment in the co-creation where we all realized that at some moment in time in our own professional or learning journeys, we had needed to demonstrate that we had gone past a certain stage, if you like, and that it was almost a passport for continuing in your life, because your learning and progression was contingent on moving forward and being allowed to move forward. So that was really why it was called a passport. And we always did link it very closely, both UNICEF and Microsoft, with the most difficult contexts. So the offline vision, the vision of this being available offline was absolutely core to our vision for it being for all.
Many challenges, like the child won't be able to carry books around or notebooks. So how the history of her development, and learning will be kept. So the online part comes handy, right? If there is a way that can be deposited somewhere where she moves from a refugee camp to another place. I thought was a quite interesting way of addressing the issue of continuing the learning for children in post-conflict zones and extreme weather event zones. But I know also that you have evolved. You started, I think the first tryout was in Southeast Asia, and the first pilot, and then Africa, and now you are also in Latin America. And it's sort of evolved into something else. So it's not just for post-conflict zones and extreme weather event.
Yes, so there was the moment of COVID-19 and the pandemic when there was suddenly an evolved another context around out of school children. those children who were out of school because of the pandemic. And so at that moment, there was almost a parallel usage for the tool. And that's where, and at that moment, and still we've continued both tracks. So today there's more than 2 million learners in 20 countries. And you're exactly right. They include countries as diverse as Zimbabwe, Honduras, Sierra Leone, Laos, PDR, and more. And using the learning passport in different ways. So, for example, the usage in Ukraine, which came about originally from COVID-19, was very much, it was around early childhood development. And that was the kind of use case that was used for the passport there. But obviously now, we are also using it in UNICEF and its partners, Blue Dot Welcome Centres, and in the safe spaces, and in countries not only inside of Ukraine, but obviously the neighbouring countries as well, who are receiving the refugees.
Oh, yes. So let's talk a little bit about that. So you had suddenly, you were already in Ukraine for COVID, right? You were
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
learning passport methodology. But now, what's happening now? Because the surrounding countries that are the host countries, how does that work? How tell us a little bit about that.
So, as I understand it, the learning passport has been made available firstly in the Blue Dot centres. So those are the UNICEF and its partners. I think HCR is one of the partners. The Welcome Centres. That's for parents and caregivers as they cross, etc. And so the learning passport's there. I understand that it has interactive content. It's for children and adolescents of different ages, actually, as well as also materials actually for parents and caregivers. And it also has mental health and psychosocial support content for all ages. So, and I think what I understand to be happening is that they're continuing to assess the needs as they evolve, and then content will continue to be developed and evolve and loaded onto that platform, translated, etc., loaded onto the platform, ready to support those impacted by the current emergency.
So what's next for the learning passport? What you see, it's because you said it's in 20 countries now?
Yes. So 20 countries, and we're really trying to keep up with the demand, honestly. So I think what's next is that we will continue to try to take the tool to scale. We're following very much a demand business model. So we make sure that it's a solution. It's not a solution for a challenge that doesn't exist. So we provide it as a solution. Actually, I just did write on Teams to ask the team how is it being rolled out in the Ukraine, and she said it's being shared by the ministry, key partners, and the UNICEF country office. So it is that true partnership between HQ and the country office.
Because it is quite a challenge, very quickly you had what?
Yeah.
2 million now. What is the latest count? 2.4 million
Yes.
people have been displaced.
Yeah, close to 3 million. Yeah.
I think that number includes the internally displaced in Ukraine itself. So yeah, it's pretty amazing that the solution was already there, given also the experience that you have acquired in the last 20 countries too. Perhaps makes it easier to understand. So, is there anything else you'd like to tell me about the process or the?
The only thing I suppose I'd like to underscore is that, it really is a relationship that leverages the best of both organizations to create something that's greater than the sum of our parts. So with the resources, but also the unique technical competence that Microsoft could offer us, twinned with our absolute focus on the hardest to reach and the most vulnerable, and our understanding of how to get to scale and work with ministries and to always keep the child as the primary user absolutely in mind. So it was always, those came together and it was truly created from a blank sheet of paper. And that, I think, is the thing that I'm most proud of, that it was a true co-created solution that only exists because we spoke to each other.
Thank you for watching the UN Brief, and don't forget to subscribe